Alright, gonna be my first YouTube video. Don't know what I'm doing, so here we go. Gonna be on my tool that I'm building and my experience, everything kind of about me, summary about me and the tool and whatnot. So I started out with back in the day when they had the aim punters and booters and crackers for Yahoo and all that stuff. Wanted to learn how that worked, so I started to get some source code and reverse engineer like how the code works and everything, and then started writing my own code. And been interested in kind of hacking stuff since then, and it's been 20 plus years ago. So I did that for a while, like looking at that stuff, learning and working, and about 15 years later, so about 7 years ago or so, I got back interested in it with vehicles. So I was writing software with an Arduino. So I took an Arduino, which is just a little board you can write firmware for. And I had taken that, learned how to write firmware for it to have it act as a pass through. And I had added a CAN bus shield on top of that. And that had a transceiver which would automatically connect to the vehicle and convert the messages between the protocols for the vehicle and what I was sending. So that one had like the AT commands. You would just say like AT connect. It would find if it's CAN or whatever protocol it is on the vehicle, which I didn't know. I just hit connect and it would connect. And then I wrote C# with some list boxes and had it record all the traffic. And after every day of trying for 9 months, I finally was able to roll the window down by listening to all the messages going across, recording them all like in the right format, spacing, stuff like that, and essentially replaying the requests, right? And by doing that, I was able to cut it in half. So if I had a bunch of messages, I would cut it in half, replay those. Okay, that don't work. Let's play the other half. That does work. Cut that in half, right? And it was a quicker way to see what the messages were. Then I could see what each message was. Like this one does the window, this one does the seat heater, this does the radio, etc. And from there, learning things like what the beginning of the packet was, right? The module ID, and the services, and the data bytes, and things like that. So that got me into kind of vehicle cybersecurity, and switched over from that to cloud cybersecurity. More like web API, pen testing, stuff like that. Watched a lot of videos, Nahamsec, Network Chuck, Arson. Watching a lot of different videos for the last year or two. Learning a lot every day while I'm working. I have videos on in the background, just listening to bugs, how the bugs went through, what they contained, why they worked, why they wouldn't have worked, what they did, what they mean. And I've spent a lot of time the last year or two learning how bugs actually work, like understanding everything, not just taking a tool and running it and saying, okay, well, here's some output, here's some subdomains, or here's some security headers or something, and just like report that. I'd like to understand how things work and why the output's there, why this happened, and things like that. And that's led to a lot of bugs for me being found. Doing things manually and learning what everything is, how everything works, how it's supposed to work, and seeing what is out of the norm from what it's supposed to be. And that's where a lot of stuff I seem to find is. So with doing all that, I have been developing this tool for the last probably 9 months. Putting all that in there, right? So the different stages for bug bounty and web pen testing, right? Recon, etc. Putting all those stages in order into my app, and then combining all the different tools and making things easier to automate once I've gone through all the manual testing and learning of how everything works, how it should work, and what order it should work, and what's needed in different spots. So I'm going to try to go over the tool a little bit. And then I have to generate some invite codes and put those on the video so you guys can purchase it if you want to try it out. I threw a $10 like 1-day plan on there. If you also want to throw $10 at it, you can scan 5 per day, 5 targets, full targets. So if you add a target here, let's say workspace name Mars. So Mars is a public program on HackerOne. So I'll add a workspace, refresh it. Oh, I changed my password, so I gotta log back in. Update password. Alright, so let's add it again. And then we will add the domain. So under each workspace, you can have multiple domains. So for the one domain, I will add this one. This is one of them that's in scope. We can add, this doesn't have a lot of stuff under it. I'm going to add another one that allows subdomains. We'll add a second domain, which is whiskas.com. Alright, so now we have 2 domains in there, right? So we can run a full scan. We have the total targets, total subdomains, active subdomains, scan status. Each scanner page on the left is going to have like a control panel, so you can start, stop, pause the scans. Gives you the status of the scans, any reports, exporting data, things like that. Should all be in the control panel here. And then here's your tracking, right? It's just me coding this up, and it's on one server. So I'm trying to track everything so people get fair limits, and don't mess any other people up. Once I get more than 10 people that purchase it, I will buy another server, and then it can have another 10 people, etc., and keep building up. For now, this one's going to allow 10 people and 5 scans a day. And then there's a queuing system built into it. So if the server does try to get overloaded, it'll just queue the scan and just have to wait a little bit. But that's not an issue now because it's only 1 or 2 people. So, like subdomain enumeration, if you do the scan dashboard, start the full scan, it's going to do everything. All the scans. All the way down, subdomain enumeration, takeover scanner, S3 buckets, port scan, nucleus scanner, web crawler, JavaScript scanner, and XSS scanner. The rest of these are manual right now. So it will count 1, right? If you run it once, it's going to count 1 for every scanner it runs. Separately, you can go to each page, and you can go to the control panel. Each page has one, and you can start scan manually. So I'm going to start the scan, full scan here. And you will see subdomain enumeration starting as the current stage. Then you have the overall progress bar here. So that'll be the overall progress for the full scan. Then this one here will be for the current scan. 29% should show 29% side. You can go over here, view it as well. And then these are the different tools for the subdomain enumeration. So I'm always adding more tools that will stay around and putting them all together. So right now we have cert.sh, So it's finding subdomains by looking at what certs are registered to other domains and subdomains. Threat company, subfinder, hacker target, DNS dumpster, chaos database, amass, and then ASN lookup. So if the company is not registered through GCP or AWS or anything like that, if they buy an IP block for the company themselves, this will attempt to look that company up based on the domain, and if it finds it, it'll take the whole IP block of range, the ASN, and convert all those to host names and give you more valid domains that way. And then it will tell you how many from each resource, right, that it got. Then once it's completed, so see it did takeover. So transitioning to the next one, test 3 buckets. See the trackers here. So in our subdomains, we have lists of all the subdomains. And the way this one works is it does subdomain enumeration with all the tools. Once that's complete with all the tools, it does all the duplicates, removes those. So you should have a complete unique set of subdomains once it's complete. Then it will do a live check at the end. Check all the domains live or not, which you can toggle here to only show the live ones or to show all of them. And then after that, it will do a tech stack detection to see what the domains are running. So these all have HTTP 3. Should find some other stuff. Not seeing here. It should be displaying other technologies as well. And then in the dashboard, it's going to do the same. So you'll have, it's times 36, so all of them have this. But at a glance, you'll be able to see it, the company as a whole, right, for all the domain and subdomains that it found, all of the technologies that they're using will be right here. It'll show you how many it's found, any CVEs, a list of CVEs, what it is, yep. And then here, you can toggle vulnerable tech, and we're not going to see any here. But the way this works is it also grabs the version, where possible, for the technology that's running on the server. And if it can grab the version, it's going to list it right here in the badging with the tech that it is. And it's also going to, the subdomain enumeration scan also is going to do CV scan. So if it detects this technology and or the version with it, then it will automatically tell you. So you'll have, if it detects a technology here, say like AWS or something, and there's a CVE for any AWS versions, you'll see a red question mark. And then when you mouse over it, it's going to give you a list of CVEs and say the latest version. And then if there is a CVE for that specific version, it'll be a different symbol. Then you know right away, right? This has a CVE for that specific version, and this server is running it. So if you do live, and then you do this, any ones you see here are automatically going to be vulnerable. Or they don't know the version, it wants you to check what version it is, do further research. But there are CVEs that will list what they are for those previous versions. You can filter the results, so if I only want to see like admin URLs, you can filter the results by that. You can export these subdomains, text, PDF, or copy a clipboard. And if you do the filter first, like this, it only has one, and you download it, it's only going to download that list. If you want the full list, just clear the filter out. and download it. And I think that's it. I probably need to remove these two as it's already here. Will do. And then Chaos Database, so anything that requires an API key, I left up to the users to do that. So if you go into your settings, there will be one for AWS for the S3 bucket scanning. Chaos Database, you'll just save it here. And it'll automatically recognize it. So you won't see this banner anymore. And then here's a link out to get it, a link to the settings to apply it. And all that's going to do is allow it to automatically use Chaos Database as well, which has a lot of subdomains. So that should be everything for that one. Then we have the takeover scanner. That one's pretty simple. Excuse me. That one will just check the C names, see what it's pointing to, if it's going to get a 404, and it will list them here. So it automatically does takeover scan for you. It'll give you like low, medium, high, what it thinks it is, and it's up to you to go try it. So you'll see like for Fastly as a CDN, things like that. Companies will delete stuff off of Fastly, but they won't delete their account. So you'll see a subdomain takeover, but you can't register it on Fastly. So technically, it's a dangling subdomain. And then say like Fastly's policy might be 90 days out from the company if they switch CDNs from Fastly to something else, and then like 90 days they might release it. Then at that point, right, you can go grab that, and it would be a valid takeover. Same thing here, right? Export. You can delete all the data for this target, right? If you want to delete the results. Otherwise, when you start a scan, if there's already results here, it shouldn't duplicate it. It should only do it once, but it'll do a fresh scan. If there's anything additional, it'll add it onto there. And you have AWS bucket, S3 buckets. So this will take all of the domain and subdomain names, and it will generate. So it generated 1,184 different bucket names, but it will generate a bunch of bucket names based on the domains and subdomains. Then it will check all of them. If you do basic here, it's going to go to the URL, right? See if you get the access denied, if it's like the XML format. Excuse me. Wherever the tags are, right? If it's actually a bucket or not. So if you try to view a bucket publicly, like right now, it might not be visible. So when you link out here, create a free AWS account, it's free. Go to configure the credentials, right? Set them in here. And what that does is, if you have an AWS account, it's going to actually be different permissions for buckets for read and write. So somebody might say, anybody with an AWS account can read this or write to it, right? But if you don't have that configured, you're not going to see the bucket here. If you do, then you will see it. So it's more advanced scan. So this will go away as well once you configure that. And then port scanning. We have the basic scan. There's a toggle here for basic and advanced. I'm debating whether to leave the advanced scan in for now, but right now it's basic. So it's going to do the top 1,000 ports, and it's going to do the most common services. So like MySQL, FTP, like anything that's above 1,000. FTP is not, but anything that's above 1,000, right? Like running port 8,000 something or whatever, it will scan all those ports as well, and it'll list them all here. And you can go to details, right? Do all the ports for the domains and whatnot. You can export that as well. Then the nuclei scanner. This one's going to be It's just basic nuclei, right? But it's a UI in front of it. So you don't have to configure anything. It just works. So you have domain scope. So this is if you want to scan the main domain only, you toggle it off. If you want to scan the main domain and all of the discovered subdomains, leave it on. So it's on by default, right? You want to scan all of them. It's on fast mode. So the way this is set up is it will take the one URL and run all the applicable templates, that Nuclei decides for it. Once it runs against that one URL, then it will loop, go to the next URL, run all the templates. I haven't had any issues with rate limiting or anything like that, so it seems to work good. When you do slow mode, which again is another one I might take out for now, might leave in. I'm still trying to get it to work correctly in the slow mode. But what that does is it does it differently. So it will take one template and it's backwards. So one template across all the URLs. And then it will go to the next template and then go through all the URLs. That way there's time hitting the URLs themselves. So it's a lot slower, but more safe. But I haven't had any issues running fast mode. So I don't really see a reason to use it. This one is using Nuclei default templates by default. So if you flip this, it will use custom and Nuclei templates. So to use both. And the way that's set up is it's going to use the default templates automatically, and if there are any custom templates which are stored per user, so if you put any in here, it's going to be under your account. Should be account wide for all the workspaces, all the targets. So you can just upload a YAML file for a custom Nuclei template, and those will stay there. Should stay there forever, and it will use both. So that's how a lot of hunters find things. They start building custom templates based on newer CVEs, newer things that are found. Something that anybody pulls Nuclei down and does the default templates. They're not going to find things that you have custom templates for. So you want to build your library, right, of custom templates. And I'll probably add later like a way to download all the templates that you upload. So you can just download them as an archive or something, right? If you want to back them up or anything like that. And then the web crawler. So this one, same thing. Got your control panel, right? Start, stop, all that stuff. Delete the data if you want for that target. It's going to give you total URLs, saved URLs, soft 404s, invalid, parameterized, and JavaScript. So the important part here is it's going to find any URLs with parameters in them, and that can be used for other parts of the tool. So as an example, like the XSS scanner, right? Or the fuzz tester once that's released. Or SQL injection or different things like that, right? And then the JavaScript files it finds, it stores in a central spot as well. So that can be used all throughout the app as well. And one of them is in the JavaScript scanner, right? The fuzz tester is not going to use that. XSS, which other one is going to use it? The burp suite was the one that's going to use it too. So you would do the web crawler, get the JavaScript files. Once this comes out, you need to make sure it's secure because I'm still working on that. But you can upload a burp suite project file of you navigating through the site, right? So sometimes if you go to the JavaScript URL, because cores, different things, whatever, you can't access it. But in your burp project, you already have the responses there, right? So if you upload the burp project, it's gonna go through, scan for secrets, all that stuff, It's going to build all the JavaScript files. It's going to grab the map files, deobfuscate them, things like that. So this will display all the crawled URLs, right? You can just download them all here or scroll through them. And then the JavaScript scanner, that's going to be the same kind of setup as the XSS scanner. So it's automatically going to go through and it's going to look at the JavaScript file URLs, right, that came from the web crawler, or the burp suite analysis, or any other import we do, any other future scanners. It also is going to, on its own, go through all the different directories and common directories, common files, things like that, and try to discover JavaScript files as well. So it does this kind of enumeration as well to find JavaScript files. It's different stages. So once it does that, it's going to find all the JavaScript files, then take all the ones from the web crawler, then it will automatically try to grab the map files, and then if it can, it'll save those as well, which you can download. And then if it does grab the map file, it will automatically convert that minified or obfuscated file back to plain text for you, which you'll have another link in here. It says reconstructed, and you can download the plain text version of that JavaScript file. So it's easier for you to look through, but it on its own also will look for API keys and secrets and things like that, and it will tell you, you know, what it found in different categories and filters and things like that. So once the scan completes, you will be able to see some of that. And then the XSS scanner, this one is automatic in the first radio button, right? So this is auto, so it's automatically gonna take the domain and subdomains, any of the parameterized URLs. For every parameter in the URL, it's gonna test everyone as well. And it's gonna go through, you'll see a progress bar down here. It'll tell you total, current, you know, all that stuff. If it discovers any, you're going to see them down here under XSS vulnerabilities. It's going to list a button on the left that you can click test. That's going to open it up for you in a new tab, and that way you can see if it'll pop or if it's just reflected, etc. And there's different kind of severities on here that you'll see. So if you see like on the right, it'll say medium. So medium might be, okay, it was reflected, but it was encoded, right? Or it might be something close to it. It definitely needs further looked at further. Then you'll have like a high that could be like, it was reflected and it looks like it's plain text. It wasn't encoded, but it didn't pop. Like something's still blocking it. And then you'll have like critical, right? So if you see any there critical, click test it. 80-90% of the time right now will be ones that pop. They're not encoded. According to the code coming back and everything, it does pop. So there's also a custom URL. So you can put a custom URL in here as well. Like this example, don't use this one. This is just a placeholder I have in here. You don't want to run any automated scanners on this website. This is for manually testing. But this is just an example of with a parameter, right? And you put it in there and you hit start, and it's going to go through and it will take all the payloads that I have baked into the tool and test all the parameters with those payloads and give you all the results here. And of course, we're going to continue to add more and more payloads, and tools just going to get better and better and better. It's probably going to be the same price, forever. We'll have more and more stuff in it. And security assessment. So take a domain, and that's going to do an assessment based on all the responses. So to look at things like does it have allow credentials true? Does it have? It'll do like cores tests with the origin and stuff like that. There's cores there, CSP there, and kind of give you like a grading of the site's security and CSP and different stuff. Is it present? So it's gonna tell you all that stuff. Then you have the GitHub scanner. So we can look at GitHub vuln apps. Let's see. Let's find a vulnerable app. Try this one. So we'll add the repo. Gonna add it down here. Scan it. That's gonna go through 5 different scanners. Right, all open source. It's gonna be SemGrep, OWASP dependency check, Trivy, Gripe, Clear, and then Git leaks. So it will attempt to check the repo as well for the secrets. So you see it going through it. Looks like 43 findings so far. So we'll just give this a minute to run. And like one of the nice things about the tool, right? You can run a scanner and just go do other stuff. You can click off of it. Everything the way I set it up and built it, it's all separated, right? You want to go to the port scan up here, see the progress. You can see everything. You want to go back to here, you'll see the live thing back there. So looks like scan completed. We have none by SemGrep, 43 by Trivy, 40 from Gripe. So they're separated by tool too, right? So you can see at a glance. 8 crits, 35 high. So let's view the details. And they're going to be color coded by the tool as well. So you can see here, let's see, npm package for versions has a file creation overwrite, code execution vulnerability. Here's the CVE for it. Here's the fix. Right, so it's giving you all the vulnerabilities for dependencies there. And scroll down. There's Gripe. There's more dependencies. Command injection. Let's see. And then here's some, there's a container in there. So it scans Docker container stuff as well. So this is saying the user was root, right? This should not be root. So that's that. You can generate a report, right? And then view the report based off that too. And these will stay here, right? Unless you delete them. And you can add multiple ones. You can add, let's see, this one. So you want to add another one. We can add that one. Alright, it's gonna be 1 second. Okay, and we add that one. We can scan that one as well. And looks like our port scan's still going. The rest will be faster. Port scan takes a while. Okay, so now we can view the details on this one. So there's a DOS, Trivy, Gripe has some dependency issues with vulnerabilities, container issues. And then you'll see some by SemGrep for SAST, right? Static application security testing. So you'll see some there too if you test those. And then let's see, then you got Swagger Scanner. So if you upload a Swagger file, it will give you any issues with like regexes, any missing things inside the Swagger that don't go with the Open API spec or any vulnerabilities, right? So you can upload it and go to your findings. It's going to tell you everything there. Then we have the Interact SH server. And I did this for a lot of reasons. Like, as a beginner, I didn't know how to create my own or use it or, remotely have one or start one up and things like that. So I wanted one to always be there. And reading on bounty reports, I see things, like WAFs, they'll block like Hostify, right? If you're using Burp Collab and things like that. So there might be an SSRF or different things where you would have gotten it, but because you're using Burp Collab or different Hostify URLs, it's actually getting blocked and they're filtering for that. So I create a custom server, right? So you can just put a description in here, and then it'll give you, it'll give you a URL for regular HTTP and then a DNS URL. So if you have to very advanced extract information through DNS requests, like some of the Port Swigger labs, you should be able to do that here as well too. Otherwise, you can do it with the HTTP URL and parameters, things like that. When somebody hits the URL, if you put it in the host header or any other way you get SSRF, it's gonna pop up here on the bottom, and it's going to show a list, like every interaction that gets hit. And then if you can add multiple ones, so you can generate multiple ones. So for this one, it would have its own interaction ID, right? Correlation ID. This one will have its own. So you can name this like I'm testing on admin or like a contact us, right? For Mars or something like that, right? And the server's always running, so if it does get hit, even later on, like in the blind XSS, which I'll show in a second, that works, then it's always going to be here, right? And you can just come in and you'll see it there. I'm trying to set up those notifications up here, so when you log in, you'll see it, that a blind XSS came through. Then you can go into here, right, and find it. But the XSS scanner, when you run a custom URL scan, it will actually generate, the crawler should do it too, but the custom URL, when you start the scan, it'll actually automatically generate an instance for you, and it'll label it like blind XSS, etc. It's going to be under your target, right? And it's going to automatically use the payload and all of the XSS payloads while it's spraying it everywhere, right? And if it finds contact forms, parameters, URL, different things like that, it's going to spray it everywhere. And if anybody does open it, you will see it in here. And once you see it in here, it's going to be in the list as well, but it'll have extra stuff, right? So for the blind XSS, you'll actually see there's an icon here. It's going to be an eye. So when you click that, you'll be able to see things like a screenshot of their screen, like their resolution, the URL it was, the payload that was used, the IP address, the time, all their cookies that aren't HTTP only, that the JavaScript can access, and things like that. So there's pretty good information there once that does come back. I think that is about it. I was waiting on the port scan. And then go through here. This is kind of the about, how it works, all the tools used, technologies, all the compliance as well, right? And then this, my open source tools and licenses, like credits, references based on all the licenses. So these are all the tools that are used in the app itself, right? And the open source ones will be referenced there. So let's go to the other one and run some manual scans. So you will see here, like I go to the dashboard, I'm going to see some current running scans, but that's for the workspace itself, right? Well, I think it's user-wide, so you'll see it for different workspaces, but you'll see here, right, Mars workspace for this domain, a comprehensive scan is running. So that's the full scan, the comprehensive one. And then the port scan is the one underneath as it's running, the percentage. So you can track all your scans here. So if I did another scan here, it should pop up. So you'll see them all there, right? All your recent ones. Then, you know, summaries here. So let's do subdomains here. And give this a minute to run. Let me go to private window. Okay, so this is the main page when you go to the site for the tool. And it shows everything, you know, the tools, things like that, everything they use. And then here's the plans you can select, right? So you get like the day pass. And you're going to enter one of the invite codes that I put on the description for the video. Or I hand out either way, however I do it. Should be in the description of the video. Monthly and then annual, right? So grab you know, I encourage you grab the day pass for $10. Try it out. You'll see value in it right away. There's invite code, your email, purchase, right? It's gonna go through Stripe. It's gonna pop up the Stripe thing, throw the credit card in there. It's gonna purchase. It's gonna give you the license key, but it's also going to email it to you, and then it's going to create your account, set your password, things like that, and log you in. So if you don't want to do that, you just want to help support me so I can get a second server and get more people and help others, you know, in their journey, find stuff and do more recon with the tool here and build it out more. You can definitely buy the coffee here, right? Would be appreciated. So let's go back to the login here. Okay, so you can see here subdomain's done, all the tools, with the results. So we'll do live subdomains. You can see there's 6 out of 53 that are live. So see they're offline here. These aren't live. There's all the live ones, right? So we can see here right away. This one uses Amazon CloudFront, web services, HTTP3. These test ones use Nginx with Varnish. Has the HSTS, right, headers. HTTP3, so using US1, right? And then vulnerable tech, there's none, right? So they're using all the latest stuff, it looks like, or there's no CVEs it found. So let's try the nucleus scanner here, and then we should be able to run this as well. We just need the subdomains as like a base, right? Okay, that was quick. So nuclei is still going. And we'll give, let's see what the other one's on. Port scan's almost done, almost done. It's gonna be a long video. Long, awkward video, because it's my first one. So 06, right, it's going through all the URLs. Excuse me. So there's 2 URLs, 18 vulnerabilities. So you can see, here's one of the templates, CloudFront service detection. Here's what it used to do the requests. And here, right, is a response that it did. Oh, that I got. Add the new one, but you'll see the responses. And any nuclei templates that Firewire will come in here, and they're in a nice way to read it, right? So you see here what it was, the response, what the template is, the description for it. Then you can look into it further. So that's still gonna run. Web crawler. So I did not find any parameterized on that one. So I'm waiting on the other one to do the full scan still. So it looks like nuclei for that one, so let's let that keep running. Maybe we can add one more. Let's see. Let's go twix.com. Let's add another target here. I think I'm gonna run out of scans soon. There's gonna be 3 scans. We're gonna go to our dashboard. Yeah, so this will be a 3rd scan of everything. And this, you ain't gotta worry about the Firebase cost, that's just for me to track. I'm thinking about letting users configure their own Firebase instance. Right now it's just using one single one. So this is in case a user wants to use their own. They can see the live charges. So with me running 10 people, 5 scans a day, should only be like $10 max Firebase. So it's real low, covered under the free plan pretty much. So it'll be the same if you do it for yours. You configure it for yours. Here's all the current running scans. Get these subdomain scans going. This. Let's see. Nuclei still going. Alright, so we'll give it a few minutes. I can't talk about what I found so far, but using my tool, I found a lot of stuff. Like stuff as simple as doing a subdomain scan and simply clicking on live status, right? And go through and you click on the live status and you just click here, right? You're gonna see some stuff sometimes. Internally exposed stuff or stuff you're not supposed to see. All you have to do is just click live, click here, right? Just see what it is. You might find some interesting stuff. I have found some valid stuff that way, just by doing that, going to it, right? There's some hidden ones that people do security through obscurity, right? They think nobody's gonna know this domain, and it could be like a random 36 character GUID domain, and because we found it off the search or some other way, we're able to go to it and see it. Same thing with the buckets. Once you go through there, I don't think there's no buckets, but you can click the bucket, right? And it'll open up for you. Okay. So still going through that. One's still going for the other ones, not seeing anything there. So we want the web crawler on this once the subdomains are done, which they are. So let's try the web crawler. All right, nice. See how quick it was. So all the domains, subdomains, everything found. 1567. It's got 411 JavaScript files, 949 parameterized URLs. So different ones with parameters, right? This looks like one. Route equals write something, title equals. So there's gonna be a bunch of those, right? And I'm not gonna do it because I'm not gonna find vulnerabilities on the video. But when you go to the JS scanner, right, and you scan, you're going to use these files, right? So it's automatically gonna have 411 files that it's going to get the map file for. It's going to automatically bring it back to plain text and search it for all secrets and things like that for you. Same with the XSS scanner, right? When you start it, it's going to go through all these and every parameter and automatically find the reflected XSS for you. And then set up the blind too, right? It's going to put it in the interact SH server. And if it comes in, when it sprays it, and somebody in the back end, or automatically, maybe a Jira, it's something for a contact form or an issue, and then they have a pipeline that Jira creates it within 1 minute and then loads it into something, right, on their back end. It's going to pop into here. I think that's about it for now. I will make another video and then post this awkward first video in a few. Any questions, just ask.